let me tell you a story about ST40 and how it's evolved into a public-private partnership. So ST40 now has a big team, really. Tokamak Energy, we're based in the UK, but we have operations in the US and Japan. We have long-standing and very valuable collaborations with Princeton and Oak Ridge, funded by Department of Energy. We have other partners, particularly in Tokyo, University of Tokyo, very long-standing collaboration with Korea and also with universities in Europe. So we're very much embracing the idea of public-private partnership, where a private company has a bold idea but needs verification, assistance along the way from publicly funded researchers. So ST40 is a compact, high field strength spherical tokamak. The motivation for Tokamak Energy to build it was we wanted to find the cheapest, quickest, smallest way to get to the threshold temperature for commercial fusion energy of 100 million degrees. So we raised private capital to enable us to set that goal, approach that goal, and ultimately to reach that goal with actually a lot of help along the way from the public sector partners. And that help came in helping to find the right scenarios and strategy to achieve the 100 million, and perhaps more importantly, in the verification that we'd reached that 100 million degrees. Because these plasmas are pretty tricky to measure. They're swirling around a bit, as I'll show in a video later, and making sure you're really measuring temperature rather than fast particles is pretty tricky. So main parameters of the device, it's high field, up to 2.1 Tesla at the major radius of 40 centimeters. We have now reached a 1 megaamp plasma current. So it's substantial performance. We can get extremely high heat loads on small areas of our diverter. We may or may not wish to do that, but it is possible to get very high heat loads, but only for 0.2 of a second. So we are separately developing high temperature superconducting magnets, but this device is really pushing copper magnets as hard as they can go. So the program over the last 2 years has really been exploring physics. That's after we achieved the 100 million degrees. How does the device evolve? And it evolves towards more public-private collaboration, more towards scientific research rather than commercial goals. So we wanted to explore the physics of the high-field spherical tokamak, validate theoretical models, develop simulators, and so forth. Specific areas like transport and confinement, how you get H mode, which we can in this small device, how energy confinement varies with magnetic field, a key point about power exhaust and this narrow scrape-off layer that we find that we can achieve. Then pushing up higher and higher in NT tau triple product. So we've got the highest verified triple product of any purely privately funded fusion device. And now we're moving on to look at high beta and highly non-inductive scenarios. So good research facility. And we can see some exciting times ahead, thanks to a big collaboration with Department of Energy, backed now by the UK government as well. And one example here is a program called LEAPS. And the idea here is really a major upgrade to push up magnetic field, to change the plasma facing material away from graphite towards all metal walls, then we want to achieve low recycling. We want to see the effect of coating the first walls with lithium. So there's a lot of expertise at Princeton on that, some very significant achievements on their LTX device in the past, looking very, very interesting. So that's really the key part of our plan for the next 3 years. And how will lithium affect scrape off layer, the pedestal area around the edge of the plasma? We want to understand that. And then we want to make other upgrades at the same time. So this is all worked out carefully in collaboration with our national lab and UK government partners. What is going to be of most value to them scientifically or technologically. So as I mentioned, we want to remove graphite, replace it with molybdenum, largely molybdenum PFCs. We want to install a gyrotron. The gyrotron has been supplied by Kyoto Fusioneering. It's being commissioned at the moment. It should be deployed by this time next year, and we will see how it performs on a real device. So ST40 is pretty small, surprisingly small to get to the nearly 10 kV plasma ion temperature. And we have about 1.8 megawatts of neutral beams going into the device at the moment, 2 different neutral beams. So adding an extra megawatt from a gyrotron is getting to a pretty high power density input into a small plasma. So scientifically very interesting. And of course, technologically very exciting because of the potential for gyrotrons to be a decisive contributor to commercial fusion devices in future. We do have a pretty good diagnostic set. We are installing new systems at the moment. This is an area of potential for further partnerships. So the University of Tokyo has been very good to us over many years in initially helping us to measure 15 million degrees, hotter than the center of the sun in this device back more than 5 years ago now. Without their expertise, we couldn't have been sure of what temperature we'd achieved. Now, the diagnostic set is getting more and more sophisticated, by no means as great as the D3D facilities, but this is an area where we would welcome further collaboration. It takes a lot of people to get the best out of all of these diagnostics. And as far as possible, we are open about the scientific results that we achieve. Looking forward a bit, the additions, the capabilities, hardware and software that we're developing, just a couple of examples. One is vertical control of the plasma position. So we want to work with fairly elongated plasmas. As you increase the elongation, the vertical stability becomes more challenging. So we want to learn how to control that better. And we have suitable coils on ST40 to enable those experiments to happen. And we want to try and understand these instabilities as far as we can on our device. And we certainly think one of the great things that the ITER project did was gather a huge amount of data 30 years ago about how different tokamaks around the world performed. And there may be an opportunity to revisit that and see how devices around the world are now performing. and how we can understand more by comparing different devices. And then one of my favorites, the plasma control system that we've developed, which is now being developed for undergraduate teaching. So we have a partnership with the University of Lancaster that will be properly launched in the next month or so. And the idea here is to give undergraduate students a realistic appreciation of what it's like to work in a control room of an experimental tokamak. So it's as realistic as possible, a simulation. So someone will have to sit at a screen and control the virtual vacuum while someone else controls the virtual neutral beams. And we use this internally as a tool to run experiments virtually before we run them on hardware. And that has been used to sort of filter out experiments that sounded good but wouldn't work in practice. And then let me just show this video. It's going to play, I hope. So this is plasma in ST40. Plasma volume, as I've said, is about 1 cubic meter. And what we're doing is dropping dust, lithium dust, into the top right corner of the plasma. This will cycle through a couple of times, I think. So this is a duration of about 0.3 milliseconds. So we borrowed a fast color camera to achieve this. You can see the lithium being introduced. It heats up and goes red. Then it gets ionized and goes green. And once it goes green, of course, it's ionized, so it whizzes around at astonishing speeds. So it's a nice diverted plasma. We know now we can introduce lithium without totally disrupting the plasma. Plasma conditions more or less unchanged. So we're well set for our next couple of years of experiments. Yeah, social media love these videos. So looking forward, what's next? Well, from my perspective, what's next for fusion? I'd like to see more partnerships, public, private, and international. I think fusion companies, most of them are going to have to specialize in areas they're particularly good at. And only a few will really be able to carry forward the bold idea of going all the way to fusion devices themselves. I think more radical innovation is still required for commercial fusion energy, particularly materials, particularly things like first wall and neutron shielding. What's next for Tokamak Energy particularly? Well, we have just been announced as the magnet systems partner for the UK government STEP programme. So this is a big contract for us, $95 million over the next 3 years. And it should continue into a major programme funded continuously by UK government. And we'd like to supply HTS magnet systems for other devices. We see ST40 having a long life as a research facility with public-private partnership and perhaps philanthropic funding. We'd love to do some experiments on spin polarized fusion. I think we could. And then development of more technology for magnetic fusion, especially spherical tokamaks. We'd love to put a second gyrotron on if the first gyrotron produces good results. And then we'd really have some power of 4 megawatts into a meter cube of plasma. So thank you very much indeed.